Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brittany of BrittanyJJones.com. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the channel. I hope that you will like what you see and subscribe below for more. Today I want to sew an easy dress up. I have McCall's 8448 here. It's a new pattern from their early spring collection. And I'm gonna sew view B. They have it in color block here on the pattern, but I only have one fabric. I have a red jersey knit, found it in my stash. I thought it'd be great since Valentine's Day is coming up. So yeah, I'm gonna make view B on this pattern. I will say though, I do prefer to have like a mid-weight knit in dresses, especially if they're going over my bottom. I prefer like a little bit of, a little weight to it, not anything too light. But like I said, Valentine's is coming up and this is what I have in my stash. So I'm gonna use this red jersey knit here for this dress. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna start prepping the pattern. I haven't cut anything out. I usually don't film this portion, but I'm gonna start filming it. I think it'd be great to see the beginning, like the real beginning to the end of the video. So I'm gonna get started. I'm not gonna sew this whole pattern in one day. I also wanna start letting you all know that it's probably gonna take me maybe 2 days. I'll probably get maybe 30 minutes to an hour done right now. And then I'll take a break, go get the children, come back, sew a little bit tonight, and then I'll probably wrap it up tomorrow. But it looks like I'm gonna sew it in a day, but just know that I'm not sewing it in a day, okay? But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. To begin, go ahead and cut out your pattern. As you can see here, I am using a rotary cutter. I like to use a rotary cutter as well as my mat when I cut out my paper as well as my fabric. I just use a dual blade on the rotary cutter and it gets the job done. Next, go ahead and press out all the wrinkles and get everything nice and smooth. So that way when we place it onto the fabric, there's not any folds on our pattern. If you are new to sewing, I encourage you not to skip this step, and you also want to press out your fabric as well to remove any wrinkles. Next, once everything is pressed, you can go ahead and start to cut out your fabric. And before you move your tissue paper, your pattern, you want to always make sure that you transfer any markings that you have on your pattern. Once you have everything cut out, let's start sewing. Okay, I have all of my pattern pieces cut out. I did not have enough to cut out the sleeve. I thought I would have enough fabric, but I didn't. So I went ahead and just cut out the armhole band. And so now let's start sewing. The first thing that we want to do is pin our upper front to our middle front. So take pattern pieces 1 and 2. You want to match them up along the notches. So make sure that you have those matched up. And with right sides facing, you want to go ahead and grab your pins and we can pin them in place. If you have similar fabric like mine where it's kind of hard to tell the front from the back, you can place little marks on the wrong side of the fabric. That way you know the right from wrong side. Once you have it all pinned, then we can go ahead and stitch at a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and I will be using a zigzag stitch. Okay, now that you have it all sewn, you can finish your seam and press it. And again, we just stitched together pattern piece 1 and 2. So now we're going to pin pattern piece number 3, which is the lower front and back to the bottom of pattern piece number 2. So just like we just did, you want to match up those notches. Make sure that you have everything matched up with right sides facing. You can go ahead and start pinning, matching up those notches. And after you have it pinned, stitch again at a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, I have my front pattern pieces assembled. I have pattern piece 1, 2, and 3 sewn. I did finish off my seams with my serger and I pressed it flat. The pattern instructions does show the seam being pressed open. So if you want to press yours open instead of just going toward one direction, you can definitely do that. Now we're just going to repeat the same exact steps to the back. Go ahead and sew your upper back, your middle back, and your lower back pieces together the same way. And then I went ahead and applied a little bit of stability to the back shoulder seam. That's just going to help it reduce from stretching out over time. If you have clear elastic, you can use that, or if you have some stay tape, you can use that. Once you have stabilized the shoulders, again, that's optional, you don't have to do it. Now we're just gonna pin at our shoulder seams and our side seams, and we're gonna sew it together. So again, repeat those same steps that you did to sew the front, do it for the back, and then we can sew the shoulders and side seams together like I've done here. The next thing we can do is move on to attaching the armhole. For the armhole bands with right sides facing, you want to go ahead and fold them in half. You should have placed a notch along the ends. Go ahead and match those up. And we're going to stitch across using a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. And again, I am still using a zigzag stitch. Once you have your band sewn, you can press your seam open flat, and then you want to fold it in half with the wrong sides facing. So the right side of the armhole band should be out facing you. And now with right sides facing, we can go ahead and match it up to our dress, matching up the notches, matching up the seam, and pin in place. Once it's pinned, we can go ahead and stitch at a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Once you have it sewn, you want to go ahead and give it a press. I did finish off my seams with my serger and I pressed the seam toward the inside. Now we can do an edge stitch about 1/8 of an inch away from the seam. Now that we have the arm bands sewn on and we've done the edge stitching, now we can go ahead and do the neck band the same exact way. Go ahead and pin the raw edges together, stitch at a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, fold it in half, pin it to the neck edge, sew it, finish your seam, and do your edge stitch just like you did your armhole. Once you have that complete, the last thing to do is a 5/8 of an inch narrow hem along the hem of our dress, 5/8 of an inch hem. Once you have that sewn, you are all done with your dress. Thank you all so much for watching the video. I really do hope that it was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them down for me below. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and I will see you all in the next one. Blessings, everyone. Bye.